this is a confusion too.
Majority, yeah.
Because I came all the way from far away, and I was out we was out stomping the grounds and stuff. There was one store that we visited when we were here before, and we're talking about going to this affair, right? And so as we're leaving is when we see this. They were thinking that this is what we were talking about.
Wow.
And if it wasn't for catching that, we would have walked out of there without them ever knowing that this is not what we were talking about. So this is a costume ball, but it's colored because it says Moorish costume ball and African heritage.
So our people going to that.
That's the only time he wants you to wear your fez outside.
Yeah, wow.
That's what it is. This is crazy.
That's when you get to wear your Moorish garb.
Only at the costume.
If you look at that, look at the features on it. It's something from over across the water. It's not even acknowledging, our style of dress. When you look at it, look at that.
The watermark?
Yeah, the watermark.
Yeah.
Look at it.
Oh, I don't even know what that is.
You would at least think they would have a turban on or a fez. I mean, come on. You would think.
Something to acknowledge.
But it's not.
Right.
Look like she got one of them long neck things on with the
hajib.
So this is why we have to study so that we can recognize these things. Now we recognize right away that if this is truly the Moorish costume ball, it would be proudly said so when I talk about heritage and cultural diversity celebration. No. See, so, and then other things. There are other things. Clothing, costumes showing African heritage is encouraged. I thought you said it was a Moorish costume. So therefore, this language was, to me then, intended to make some confusion. Because if it's all about what it says here, showing African heritage and encouragement, not that we're not standing on Northwest Africa. Because but you know what I mean. You see what I'm saying?
So that's the confusion. Right. So everybody is probably going to that instead of getting the real.
Because they think that's
when we went in, they said, they said, the brother dropped off a flyer. So we just assumed it was the same flyer that we had that was his until we were leaving. And I said, what's that? And then the guy said, oh, well, that's the flyer that we're talking about. And I said, that ain't where I'm going tomorrow.
Big difference.
My question, because this been on my mind maybe for about 48 hours, a little bit longer than that, because we talked about it on Tuesday or whatnot. But the conversation here today, everything was great, but the specific conversation about the finance, money, economics, etc., brings me back to thought, as you were saying, we need to go back 1913 and see what Prophet Noble Drew was saying. In the old statements of the prophet, there's a prophecy about the wheels of industry stopping, and then when they turn up again, they'll be in the hands of the Asiatics, the Moors. And I'm like, man, that day is coming soon, right? But then I thought about it. He passed in 1929, right? Was his prophecy, like, did we miss a prophecy somewhere? Because, no, hold on, no. Because 1933 with the Depression and all that, when the banks closed, and he started back up again, like, did we, exactly. Did we miss something during that time? Like, was the prophecy already fulfilled, but we looking for something else? I mean, like, this might be a speculative question and answer, but my thing is, as we're talking about people trying to do the UCC redemptions, people looking to get 80 million from the birth certificate. I mean, the wealth is already in our possession, but it takes the mentality connected to it. So my thing is, like, are we waiting for a prophecy that already passed?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, because it's shut down.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean? It started back up again.
I think I might be able to help you with that.
It's not,
because it just started. If you notice, I know most people don't like to watch the news, but even if you look at the news, there's a little bit you can pick out of there and find some truth in it.
Yeah.
Well, the Europeans, the English people in Britain, they have left the euro. They left the union. So they're starting to break down, even over there. yeah, they're starting to break down. And what they were saying is, what they're going through is going to affect us. Well, in fact,
them.
Europe, because now they are in turmoil. Because they're worried about their 401ks, they're worried about their 457s, they're worried about their social security benefits. And it's snowballing. And they're having a hard time stopping it, and now they see us, and they're like, oh no, see, this can't happen.
Right. Because, I mean, you look around, Moors are being more creative, industrious. We have, without middlemen, like, with no middlemen. So, like, just for example, 20 years ago, people would be banging at the record company for a record deal under their front door. Now you got Cujo doing music, just putting it out there. You know, he's the master of what he's doing. You know what I mean? Without the middleman. So I see that as that's already in his own hands. He's being industrious. He's being liberal as far as the liberal arts are concerned. All of these things. And taking natural talents and making them available to the world without the Europeans' necessary distribution. So I kind of still see that today, as a lot of Moors are doing. You got food, clothing, books, etc. You know what I mean?
I got a question on that.
Yeah.
Since you said being industrial, well, I actually I plan on starting I have a food stand, but you know, this city, they're greedy. You got make you pay like $3,000 for a vendor's license. Pretty soon I want a food truck. So I'm like, when I stand up and I set up my food stand anywhere and they come address me like, oh, do you have a license, this and that. So I have a right to labor, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
How do I present that as far as like a writ on the writ or something like that?
Yeah, if I was you, I would get into the rights of indigenous people. You know what I mean? I definitely would. 'Cause anything you could think about wanting to do is covered in there somewhere.
Now see, we already went over that, right? I told you got to go.
That's a matter of fact.
The only problem is that we've had is that we didn't recognize that we are the Aboriginal and Indigenous people. So in a way, what he's saying, did it pass us by? But it didn't. Because it's going to happen again. But we didn't recognize that we are the indigenous people, but we also got to understand something and don't get caught in something. You're the Aboriginal and Indigenous. There's a distinction between the two. If you're Aboriginal, you're darn sure Indigenous. But if you're Indigenous, it doesn't mean you're Aboriginal.
Right.
So a lot of the modern Europeans are taking to trying to go back to being the so-called Indian, but you know this ain't India, so nobody's Indians. That's a federally reserved. That's under the Bureau of Indian Affairs, and they're trying to tie back to that because they know good and dag well that they're not the Aboriginal people here. They really aren't the Indigenous in that respect either, but they're going to try to tag on to something.
And them tagging onto that is because there's so many Negro black colored people.
That's right.
If Negro black colored people would listen and proclaim their nationality, then nobody could claim anything other than, I mean, you're either foreigner or you're Moor.
That's it.
America, that's it. There's no different stuff and, you know, slash, semicolon, name.
And no sovereign citizen, because what happened with them, because there's a lot of us Moors who say, well, yeah, I'm a sovereign citizen. They don't recognize that sovereignty does not stand alone. It comes with nationality. So if you haven't claimed your nationality, you ain't sovereign jack, okay? This is what happened to the Europeans who started the sovereign citizen movement, that they're trying to mix you in now. They realize that they're not the nationals here, Aboriginal anyway, and if they're going to be nationals, they got to claim their nationality too. Which means if they say they're Irish, you're totally sovereign and Irish.
Full-blown German.
Yeah, full blown, huh?
Why is it there's only one tribe? The Washita?
Washita.
Listen, all of those quote-unquote tribal names are really family appellations. They're names or appellations of families of the Moorish nation. Their mistake has been that they're saying they're nations.
Right, but they're the only Moorish family that's noticed by the United Nations.
According to who?
According to who?
Exactly.
Exactly.
Exactly. According to the United Nations.
Right.
Who's the United Nations?
Corporate.
The United Nations, you're the United, mother, you are the United Nations.
Check it out now. If the United Nations, which is corporate,
Yes.
recognizes the Washington,
Yes.
what does that mean about Washington? That's why Mojo Ali said Moorish American, because he's Washington.
That's
He
right.
never called himself Washington.
That's right.
Never once did he bring up, I'm Washington.
He said it's charity.
And
Yes.
yes.
I dug into that. It was said that the Creek actually told modern Europeans that the Cherokee was actually a misnomer as well.
It is.
It's Onion Wheel. That's why it puts that in
It's
my
not,
application.
it's pronounced it again because it's pronounced nothing like what it's,
Onion Wheel.
that's correct. All right, now, they couldn't speak
Say
our
that.
language. They couldn't say the family appellations. They bastardize them all the time. So we have to keep that in
They still
mind.
do it.
And let's just say this, something recently happened. I never like to say names, it don't really
It's
matter.
all good. It's all good.
Because
I'll say
people
it.
want to be Indians, Moors, without understanding that that is a family appellation. A tribe means a family appellation. Confederation, like Iqua or
Yeah.
Iqoi, means that these were the people who were in this particular section, northeastern, territories kind of, and then we had some over here, different federations, but we were all family, all right? So because people want to be Indians, or they want to turn over the card and say authorized by 14th Amendment, that none of the people looked at.
Yeah.
They got these cards from these people, and they didn't even turn it over to see that it strictly said authorized by 14th Amendment.
Yep.
So now that's over with now.
Yeah.
Everybody's forced to make changes and accept the fact that you're forced to make changes.
Yeah.
If you don't want to honor your own mothers and fathers, you are really a pimple on the planet. Like a pimple, a bothersome one. Because what good is it if you can't honor your own mothers and fathers? So everybody went out, they wanted to be the Washita Nation. I'm not talking about anybody personally, but it's a family appellation of Moors.
Like
They
it's-
want to be Cherokee, whatever the hell else, and turn it
It's such a
over.
family name, right? It's such a family name that when the Europeans interacted with the Washita, they turned it to Washington.
That's right.
Mount Washington.
Yeah. You are Mount Washington right now.
Hello.
But remember, there's no Europeans called Washington other than George.
Think about it.
There ain't no European that's called Washington other than George Washington. Everybody else that's called Washington is Asiatic.
That's what they
See? You're the nation.
Delaware and
From your move.
Yeah.
And mother, I'm a Washington Moor from so-called New Orleans, Crescent City. Right.
Okay, now there's difference between tribe and nation.
Right. We a nation.
Now I know.
We are one
So-
family. We
yeah.
are one
So
freedom.
as soon as you get individuals going with the tribal, then they're admitting that they're not part of the nation.
Yes.
Well, they should be saying nation.
Yes.
If they're more, they should be standing on the fact that we have a nation. But as long as they say tribe, then they're starting out on separation.
It
saying
seemed like
that
it was like a divide and conquer.
it's a divide and
Yes.
conquer scheme.
I mean, the Cherokee, so-called Cherokee made a constitution or whatever, or a contract with modern Europeans in the 1800s, right before the Trail of Tears.
Right.
And they, try to make them official or whatever, and then got them put out in the being black and color and all that when they stripped them from their Aboriginal names.
Yep.
And when they forced them into the Christian schools or whatever.
So that answers a whole lot of my questions.
That's what we were talking about with Black Wall Street. Black Wall Street came out of the Trail of Tears.
Tulsa, Oklahoma, yeah. They pushed that.
So that means that the Black Wall Street people were really Aboriginal and Indigenous. They weren't black people.
It was called the Tuscarora Riot.
Yeah.
But
They didn't even call it. Yeah.
yeah, but that just goes to show you how much branding was necessary because they wasn't calling themselves Black Wall Street.
Right.